A millionaire abandons three colts because they are weak. A girl rescues them and they become champions. The dawn was heavy with mist as William Hawthorne stood at the edge of his sprawling estate, his sharp eyes scanning the paddock below. The millionaire, renowned for his immaculate stables and a string of racing champions, wore a scowl on his face. Three colts stumbled awkwardly in the field, their fragile legs trembling as they tried to move in sync. They were undersized, far from the robust thoroughbreds his empire was built upon. "They'll never make it," William muttered under his breath. His trusted stable manager, Garrett, nodded hesitantly. "They're eating up resources," Garrett added. "It's best we let them go, sir." And so the decision was made. The colts, barely old enough to fend for themselves, were loaded into a trailer and driven miles away to a barren pasture on the outskirts of town. William didn't look back. For him, the weak had no place in his world of glory and triumph. But fate had other plans. The girl with a heart of gold. Amidst the rolling fields beyond the town's edge lived Clara, a 16-year-old girl with an innate love for animals. Her modest home was filled with rescued creatures, an old dog with a limp, a cat missing an ear, and even a blind hen that followed her everywhere. Clara's father often joked, "If there's a soul in need, it'll find its way to you." One crisp morning, Clara ventured into the abandoned pasture while gathering wildflowers. That's when she spotted them. Three frail colts huddled together, their ribs visible under thin coats of fur. They looked up at her, eyes wide with fear and desperation. Her heart sank. "Who could abandon you like this?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Determined, Clara returned home and begged her father for help. Though resources were scarce, her father couldn't deny her resolve. Together, they brought the colts home, setting up a makeshift shelter on their small farm. Challenges and beginnings. The colts were in worse condition than Clara had imagined. They were malnourished, weak, and skittish. Each step seemed a monumental effort for them. Clara named them Spirit, Ash, and Thunder, names that spoke of strength and resilience, qualities they had yet to discover within themselves. Days turned into weeks as Clara poured her soul into their care. She fed them carefully, balanced on her limited means, and spoke to them in soothing tones. Slowly, their trust grew. Spirit, the smallest of the three, was the first to nuzzle her hand. But it wasn't just physical strength the colts needed. Clara knew if they were to survive and thrive, they needed purpose. That's when the idea struck her. Training them to race. Her father was skeptical. "They're not bred for it, Clara. They're not strong enough." "They will be," she insisted. "They just need someone to believe in them." Training the underdogs. Clara's days became a blur of work and training. She constructed a small track in the field behind their house. With no professional equipment, she relied on her intuition and the knowledge she had gleaned from books and local trainers. Spirit, Ash, and Thunder were clumsy at first, tripping over their own legs. Clara didn't give up. She encouraged them with gentle persistence, celebrating even their smallest victories. Her efforts began to show. The colts gained strength and agility, their once frail bodies now sleek and muscular. But the real transformation was in their spirit. They no longer cowered in fear. They galloped with confidence, their manes flying like banners of hope. The first race months later, Clara entered the colts into a local race. The event was modest compared to the grand arenas William Hawthorne frequented, but for Clara, it was monumental. When the three colts lined up at the starting gate, laughter rippled through the crowd. "Those scrawny things don't belong here," someone jeered. Clara ignored them, her eyes fixed on her Colts. The race began, and the Colts stumbled out of the gate, trailing behind. Clara's heart pounded as she shouted encouragement from the sidelines. Slowly but surely, they found their rhythm. Thunder surged forward, followed by Ash and Spirit. By the final stretch, they were neck and neck with the leaders. With a burst of speed, Spirit crossed the finish line first, followed closely by Ash and Thunder. The crowd fell silent, stunned. Then came the applause, hesitant at first, then thunderous. Clara's Colts had defied the odds. Recognition and rivalry. The news of Clara's victory spread like wildfire. People were in awe of how three seemingly worthless Colts had outperformed seasoned racers. Small local newspapers ran headlines like, "From Weaklings to Winners, the story of Clara's Colts." Among those who read about the Colts was none other than William Hawthorne. Seated in his luxurious study, he stared at the article in disbelief. The names Spirit, Ash, and Thunder leaped off the page. These were the very Colts he had abandoned. How could they have turned into champions? His pride stung, and his curiosity grew. "I want their next race monitored," he ordered Garrett. "I need to see this for myself." Meanwhile, Clara faced a new challenge. With recognition came rivals. Established trainers scoffed at her success, accusing her of being a fluke. They began plotting ways to outshine her, and whispers of sabotage began circulating, trials and triumphs. As Clara prepared for the next race, she noticed changes in the Colts. They were more focused, their bond with her stronger than ever. Yet, doubts crept into her mind. The competition was fiercer, and she lacked the resources and experience of her rivals. One evening, as she was training Spirit, a shadowy figure tampered with the gates on her practice track. The next morning, during a routine sprint, Thunder stumbled and injured his leg. Clara was devastated. "This is my fault," she cried, holding Thunder's head in her lap. Her father reassured her. "This is what they want, Clara. Don't let them win by giving up." With renewed determination, Clara devised a new strategy. She would race Spirit and Ash while nursing Thunder back to health. She worked tirelessly, adjusting their training regimen and focusing on their strengths. The grand challenge. The day of the big race arrived. It was hosted at one of the most prestigious tracks in the region, with William Hawthorne himself in attendance. The stakes were high. Winning this race would solidify Clara's Colts as legitimate competitors. As the horses lined up at the starting gate, Clara felt the weight of the moment. Spirit and Ash stood tall, their coats glistening in the sunlight. The crowd murmured, placing bets on more established racers. Few believed in the underdogs. The gunshot signaled the start, and the horses charged forward. Clara's Colts lagged behind initially, their smaller frames struggling to keep up. But as the race progressed, they found their rhythm, weaving through the pack with uncanny precision. By the final stretch, it was a neck-and-neck battle between Spirit and a massive stallion owned by one of William's top trainers. Clara screamed encouragement, her voice nearly drowned out by the roaring crowd. In a breathtaking finish, Spirit surged ahead, crossing the line by a nose. The confrontation. After the race, Clara was approached by none other than William Hawthorne. His sharp gaze softened as he studied the Colts. They were mine," he said, his voice laced with regret. Clara didn't flinch. "They were yours, but you gave up on them. They became champions because someone believed in them." William paused, the weight of her words sinking in. "You've done something remarkable," he admitted. "Perhaps I misjudged their potential. And yours." He offered to buy the Colts back, promising Clara wealth and resources. but she declined. They're not for sale. They're family. A legacy of hope. Over time, Clara's story inspired countless others. She continued to train Spirit, Ash, and Thunder, who fully recovered from his injury and joined his siblings on the track. Together, they dominated the racing world, proving that strength wasn't always born, but could be nurtured. William Hawthorne, humbled by the experience, started a foundation to support young trainers and rescue abandoned horses, acknowledging the lesson he had learned. As for Clara, she remained the same. A girl with a heart full of kindness and a belief in the extraordinary potential of the overlooked and underestimated. In the end, Spirit, Ash, and Thunder weren't just champions of the track. They were champions of hope, proving that even the weakest can rise to greatness with love and perseverance. This is the story of William Hawthorne, a wealthy man who abandons 3 weak colts, deeming them useless. These colts, Spirit, Ash, and Thunder, were not of a strong breed and lacked the racing potential that William's empire was built upon. So, he left them in a barren pasture to fend for themselves. On the other hand, Clara, a 16-year-old girl with an immense love for animals, discovers these abandoned colts and brings them to her home. She takes care of them with dedication and hard work, believing that these colts are not just weak, but can become great if given the chance. Clara's hard work pays off, and the colts begin to race. They soon become the talk of the town when they win their first race. William Hawthorne, after reading about their success, feels regret for abandoning them. Clara and her colts face more challenges, including competition from seasoned trainers and the colts' injuries. But Clara's determination and encouragement lead to a remarkable victory, with Spirit winning a major race and proving that the weak can rise to greatness. The story ends with William acknowledging his mistake and praising Clara's effort. He offers to buy the colts back, but Clara refuses, valuing their bond and hard work over money. The message of the story is that with love and dedication, even the weakest can become powerful, and true strength comes from within. If you loved this story, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more inspirational tales. Don't forget to like and share. Your support means the world to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Haha,